Alright, Marlon Vera, Henry Cejudo confirmed for UFC 292, and this card is looking insane. I'm going to be talking about the card a little bit, but this has a lot of bantamweight matchups, definitely talking about the future of the bantamweight division, because obviously this is going to be Aljamain Sterling's last fight, so a lot of things are on the line. Can Marlon Vera potentially earn a title shot with this win? Can Henry Cejudo potentially get a title shot with this win? There's a lot of things on the line here, and we're going to be talking about it today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and let me know what you guys think of this matchup. I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow. I know I didn't really talk about the past UFC event that just happened. I'm going to be talking about a little bit more tomorrow, so tune in for that. But that was an absolute crazy main event, so I'm going to be talking about that very soon in a new, interesting way. So give me some time. We'll see tomorrow what I'm talking about. But for now, I want to talk about this. Guys, as you guys know, we're trying to hit 12K by the end of the month, and the month is rapidly approaching. It is June 20th, and you guys have done good, I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to hit 12K. Let's see if we're going to hit the goal. We're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year, so that's really all that matters. So hit the subscribe button for us, comment in the comment section for the algorithm, and share with your friends. You know, subscribe on all channels. We're trying to hit to 12K, and let's see if we could do that in like 10 days, which would be absolutely insane, but crazier things have happened. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's just get into this. All right, now Henry Cejudo, Marlon Vera. Now, what has happened that has gotten us up to this point? Well, a lot has happened. You know, obviously Henry Cejudo retired from MMA, returned to fight Aljamain Sterling, lost in a split decision. I had Aljamain winning the fight. I thought it was pretty clear. Aljamain won. I thought he won 3-2, but nonetheless, a very impressive performance from a guy like Henry Cejudo, coming off of a 3-year layoff, coming off of retirement, a lot older than he was, against a guy like Aljamain Sterling, who has beaten the best of the best. And while, yes, we can poke holes in his resume, at the end of the day, he does have wins over Petr Yan, Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw. The confidence from Aljamain Sterling and the momentum from Aljamain Sterling was at an all-time high. And you got to be impressed with Henry Cejudo's performance, because maybe if they fight on a Sunday and they fight a different day, the outcome might be different. We might be seeing 3-2 Cejudo. Like, this fight is a 50-50 fight, so I don't think it was too much for Cejudo to get discredited from. And we look at Marlon Vera, who obviously just lost to Corey Sandhagen, but besides that was on a roll. Got wins against the #1 contender Sean O'Malley, as well as having wins against legends like Frankie Edgar and Dominic Cruz, dominating Rob Font. And while he definitely has holes in his game that are quite apparent, I think most people can agree Chito is a pretty cool fighter. Now, there's a lot of controversy with this matchup. Obviously, you know, Henry Cejudo and Chito Vera, you know, they're matched up, and this is a fight that I thought was going to happen for a little bit of time. Obviously, with the whole division kind of already paired up, but Rob being injured, this was the fight that made sense. Obviously, I would have preferred Merab versus Cejudo, but this fight will do. And as I said, there is a lot of controversy. I see people online saying Corey Sandhagen should fight Henry Cejudo, and yes, that does make sense. You know, obviously Corey Sandhagen was announced he's going to be fighting Umar Nurmagomedov, who's ranked number 11, despite beating Chito. Chito is now going to be in a potential #1 contenders fight against Henry Cejudo. Because let's be real, if Marlon Vera knocks out Henry Cejudo in the first round, who's really going to deny him a spot in the vacant title fight? Because another thing to keep in mind, it's been confirmed by Aljo, this is going to be his last fight at 135 pounds. So I can see them doing is having a champ versus champ fight against Alexander Volkanovski and Aljamain Sterling, where Aljo keeps his belt just for that fight and then maybe just vacates it. So they might have an interim title fight, which is kind of like a vacant title fight, because obviously the interim champion will just become the champion, or they could just strip him right away, have a vacant title fight. Who knows? We're gonna see what happens with that. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but regardless, we need 2 bantamweights probably by the end of the year or the beginning of next year to fight for a vacant title. And I think the winner of this fight is more than likely going to be part of that discussion. Now, obviously, a lot of things have to take place. Corey Sandhagen has a big fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, and if Corey Sandhagen defeats Umar, there is no reason for Corey not to be in that title picture. At that point, he'll have 3 wins in a row against top contenders, arguably beat TJ Dillashaw as well. In my opinion, I had Corey winning that fight, but it was a close fight nonetheless, so you kind of have to put him in that title picture. And of course, there's a possibility where Aljamain doesn't even win against Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley could win, which is a matchup that honestly just totally slipped my mind. I totally forgot that's even happening the same night. But there is a scenario where Sean O'Malley could beat Aljamain Sterling. And look, I know I just totally was discounting Sean O'Malley, but to be honest, that is a closer fight than it is on paper, because there's a lot of question marks when it comes to Sean O'Malley's game. For example, the grappling specifically. We don't know how well he really defends takedowns. So far, he's been doing pretty good, but there's this preconceived notion that maybe Aljamain could just body slam Sean O'Malley, just rain down elbows and easily destroy him in one round. We really don't know much about Sean O'Malley's ground game. We've heard some things about his jiu-jitsu being well. He's done some grappling matches. I don't think he's going to do anywhere near as bad as a lot of people think he's going to be. And if it's on the feet, let's be real, there's a big advantage for Sean O'Malley, though Aljamain isn't some slouch on the feet either. But I think we could all agree that O'Malley is definitely the better striker. But the point I'm trying to get at is, assuming that O'Malley loses the fight, there's a vacant title on the line. Now, I could imagine them just slipping Sean O'Malley back in there, but I think if it was up to the UFC, I think they want to see O'Malley win, and then maybe he fights the winner of Cejudo versus Marlon Vera. Because let's look at this logistically, right? There is a scenario where Marlon Vera beats Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley that same night beats Aljamain Sterling, and Sean O'Malley's like, hey, listen, that's my only loss. I want to take care of Marlon Vera. Let's fight and have a rematch, and that fight could take place fights, even if Corey beats Umar, which would just make no sense because obviously Corey beat Marlon Vera. That would just be super unfair for Corey, but it's the UFC. They decide what goes on, so anything is possible. But I want to stop talking about the implications of this fight and actually talk about the fight specifically. Who do I think is going to win? What I think is going to happen? This is a 3-round fight, which I think favors Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera shows that he can go 5 rounds, so I don't think it's really that big of a difference. But if it was a 5-round fight, we obviously know Henry Cejudo. He has that experience. Another thing to keep in mind is that this is going to be on the pay-per-view as a bantamweight title fight, which means if any of these guys fall through, there is a scenario where either one of these fighters could fill in for that role. So we could be seeing maybe a Cejudo rematch with Aljo, or maybe we see O'Malley versus Cejudo for an interim title fight, which I wouldn't mind either. But I know I keep saying let's not talk about the implications of this fight and let's talk about the fight, but I'm going to talk about this fight now. If I were to pick gun to my head right now without doing too much like film study, I would probably go with Henry Cejudo. All in all, I think Marlon Vera is a very powerful fighter. I think he's a guy that has great finishing ability, and that's what kind of helped him through a lot of his career. We see fighters like this that kind of lose fights but then have that one punch or that one just finishing ability that could just take out his opponents, and Marlon Vera is just really good at timing, and that's what helps him in a lot of his fights. And that's why I picked against him when he fought Corey Sandhagen, because I just believe Corey Sandhagen is all in all a better fighter. And I think it's going to be a question of, can Henry Cejudo avoid that shot? I'd assume that Henry Cejudo is probably going to wrestle Marlon Vera, and we saw Frankie Edgar get some control time over Marlon Vera not too long ago. Like, that was a fight before his retirement fight. So it was a very much out of prime Frankie Edgar able to get some control time over Marlon Vera. That's a big deal in my opinion. We even saw Frankie Edgar win a round against Marlon Vera, and Henry Cejudo is just very technical. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see if he's a big favorite. I just think that he's going to beat Marlon Vera. I think it would have been a really interesting matchup between him and Corey Sandhagen, actually. I would have probably picked Corey Sandhagen, just because when you look at the height, I mean, Jesus, Henry Cejudo was way smaller than Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen is almost 6 foot long, likes knees up the middle. It's a great matchup for Corey Sandhagen, if I'm going to be honest, especially when Corey's been working on his wrestling a lot more. But for Marlon Vera, I think this is for Henry Cejudo to win. Like I said, I think this is a scenario where the UFC is at a win-win here. I think they want to see Marlon Vera versus Sean O'Malley too. That's a big fight that they could make. Obviously, Sean O'Malley avenging his only loss, but Henry Cejudo and Sean O'Malley have had beef for years now. Like, they've been talking shit back and forth for a while. That fight would be massive to have at the end of the year, or maybe in the beginning of next year. So we could definitely see this at the end of the year, maybe the beginning of next year. And assuming that's if Sean O'Malley wins, like I said, there's also a vacant title potentially on the line. But this fight is definitely a big fight for the clarity of the division, and that's the point I'm trying to make. I think I see Henry Cejudo kind of getting a lot of control time out of Chito Vera. Maybe Chito does better in the later rounds, and like the 3rd round or so, maybe he's able to keep it on the feet a little bit more. I think he's definitely going to have moments against Henry Cejudo. However, though, I think I'm going to go with Henry Cejudo by decision as of right now. Don't think that any of these guys are going to finish the fight, and if anyone is going to finish the fight, I would probably go with Chito Vera. And man, I just can't believe there's a scenario where we could see Henry Cejudo out unconscious. Like, that is crazy to me. I feel like I sound like a Henry Cejudo hater. By the way, I'm a fan of Henry Cejudo. I do like Henry Cejudo. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I'm not really a fan of many fighters, as you guys know. I'm more of a fan of the sport. Like, there's probably like 4 fighters, but I don't mind Henry Cejudo. He's a pretty cool fighter to watch, a very technical fighter, and it would just be pretty shocking to see him out cold after being dominant for so long and really being at the top of the division for so long. But it's possible. Marlon Vera is a finisher, and that's something that Henry Cejudo is definitely going to be watching during his camp. He's definitely going to pick up on a lot of things. I could see him catching the kicks. But UFC 292, crazy card so far. Chris Weidman returning on the card, Jung Wei Lee returning on the card. So many fun fights, guys. That's going to conclude this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. I'll respond to you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I love doing these videos. I love talking to you guys. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, because we're trying to hit the 20K by the end of the year. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.